people what they want.
The people want a Game 7. They got that tonight. The people want Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. They got that tonight. The people wanted 2 Monday Night Football games. They got that last night. And that is where we start with Big Ben is back. He returned to the field after elbow surgery and didn't miss a beat. Him and Juju Smith-Schuster connected time and time again, as you see right here. Jalen, did last night's performance convince you that they're a contender in the AFC?
It didn't convince me that they're a contender, Jacoby. First, I want to celebrate Big Ben being back, the future Hall of Famer. It was great to see him back in the lineup. My Rock Nation brother, Juju Smith. Great to see him in the end zone. Washington being physical at the goal line, getting into the end zone. They had a 100-yard rusher, and we know their defense is ferocious. But can Big Ben really stay healthy, Jacoby, as we break down this team? And I want to get enthusiastic, and I want to say that their defense can carry them to a Super Bowl contending season. And then I think of the other teams in the AFC. And I'm like, Patrick Mahomes is really good. And they got weapons. The Ravens are really good. And they got weapons. You got to score to beat those teams. And yep. I'm just not sure that the Pittsburgh Steelers, based on this style of great coaching, really disciplined offense, low turnovers, smash mouth football, can actually win a Super Bowl in a modern day era where people just throwing the football all around a lot every game.
It was encouraging to see them win, but it was a little discouraging to see Big Ben limping around the field and James Conner go down. And Big Ben had a run for 11 yards, which I can't even call a run. I'm going to call it like a jog for 11 yards. But that 11 yards was more than Saquon Barkley gained from the line of scrimmage all day long. Now, you have to give a lot of credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, but the Giants offensive line did not just not give him a hole. He was touched behind the line of scrimmage, I think 8 times before he even got a chance to turn upfield. It was a very tough day for Saquon Barkley and made me feel like this Giants team is as bad as we thought they would be, and nothing demonstrates that more than Daniel Jones on this play. Watch this play from Daniel Jones. He just marched them down the field on a 19-play drive. 90 yards. He drops back, throws the ball up, and there's 5 Pittsburgh Steelers there that could have intercepted the pass. Not one. Watch it when they stop this right here. There's 5 Pittsburgh Steelers that could have intercepted that pass. Jalen, this is really bad for the Giants. Just how bad do you think it will be this season?
Well, all I know is you have a couple of good games, and the media give you a nickname. Remember that? Ryan Fitzpatrick, he can put on Deshaun Jackson's clothes, and we think it's cute. What happened to your guy, Danny Dimes, Jacoby? What happened?
Danny Penny.
You tell me.
Danny Penny. Happened? It was Danny one dime. He had one good throw the entire game. In the first drive, the second drive was like, oh, look at that. Touchdown throw Slade. Maybe he really is Danny Dimes. He is not Danny Dimes.
Like I told y'all. Somebody Photoshop this for me. The 2 quarterbacks in New York City for the Jets and Giants resemble more like people that were in happy days than people that are going to lead those teams to the Super Bowl. The way they have not been taking care of the football. New Yorkers deserve so much better. Oh, my goodness. These guys have to improve what they're doing under center.
The Jets and Giants are absolutely terrible. Now, there's also another game, the second game in the Monday Night Football doubleheader, between a team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl in the Tennessee Titans. But let me tell you something. Certainly didn't look like a team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Now, while Derrick Henry did run for over 100 yards, it just didn't feel like a team that was poised to make a run this season. Tannehill didn't look great. Derrick Henry looked all right. The receiving core dropped some passes. Jalen, there's a lot of discussion today about the kicker, but I just wanted to point out that it wasn't just the kicker that got this team in trouble. But let's turn our eyes to Gostkowski. What did you see from him? Tell us the tale of late-night Gostkowski.
This fella is literally costing his team opportunities to win football games. How you going to miss 2 field goals and an extra point? So here's my plea. There are a lot of people black athletes that want to play in the NFL, I plead to you, practice kicking. I watch the league every week and never see kickers that look like us. Go after those jobs. You saw what Tiger did in golf? He went after it. Venus and Serena in tennis, they went after it. Those are jobs. Go take them. Gotkowski and got bailed out late. Denver didn't even call a timeout, Jacoby. They could have put more pressure on him if they made him kick it faster. They didn't even put pressure on him.
I think Vic Fangio thinks that timeouts work like rollover minutes on a cell phone plan, that he can just like have 5 timeouts next week in the first half of their week 2 game, because there was just no reason not to call a timeout there. And when he was trying to explain it, he's like, well, Derrick Henry ran out of bounds and then they threw an incomplete pass, so obviously I didn't need to use those. It was just like, my guy, you had plenty of opportunities to call timeouts when they were clearly in field goal range to save your offense a little bit of time to maybe respond with a field goal of their own, and they did not. Gotkowski somehow is a hero by going 1 for 4 on field goals and missing an extra point. Again, missed 3 field goals and an extra point, and somehow still walks away as the hero. Jalen?
More feet looking like this doing that job.
We do not. We do not. I am so glad they're not showing your feet on television right now, because our ratings would immediately plummet. We don't. We really don't. Like Please cut away from that.
Kicking in the NFL.
Well, that wraps up week 1 in the NFL, but now we turn our attention to the NBA, and we have a game 7 tonight between the Nuggets and the Clippers. A lot of people picked the Clippers to win the championship, and here they are in a game 7 against the Nuggets. How can the Nuggets pull off an upset this evening?
Stretch, mark, 5, dominance. That's how they can get it done. I can look deeper into the box score and talk about the role players like Craig, Gary Harris. And yes, Murray needs to be spectacular. But I voted that guy first team All-NBA the last 2 years, the Joker. And while Millsap is going to give him a good quarter or give him some great minutes, he's been the unguardable player for the Denver Nuggets. If he can be dominant, the Clippers will be getting eliminated tonight.
The Nuggets are just so good with their backs against the wall. Let's just think back a couple of weeks ago. I had them written off as losing to the Jazz. I was like, oh, they're definitely going to lose to the Jazz. This is an insurmountable lead in a 7-game series. And what'd they do? Stretch it to 7 and then won. And then I had them, when it was 3-1, I had them definitely losing to the Clippers. There's no way they can come back and force a game 7 and win a game 7 against the Clippers. But as you said, right now, I'd put them at even odds to win tonight. And a lot of that has to do with what the Clippers aren't getting from 2 of their key contributors, and that is Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. During the entire season, that was their key to success. Oh, you putting your second team out? We're going to put our second team out, and our second team is dominant and all-star potential level players. But look at what they got in the regular season. Just under 40 points a game from them. First round versus Dallas, 25 points a game from those 2. Conference semifinals versus Denver in this series, just 20 points. That's 20 points combined. That's about 2 points away from Montrezl Harrell's average per game in the regular season. And it's not just that end of the floor, which they are not performing. It's also the defensive end of the floor. Harrell just can't do anything to the stretch mark 5. The stretch mark 5 just eats up Harrell every time that he is guarding him. And they're finding Lou Williams on pick and rolls and switches and just abusing him on the defensive end as well. Jalen, can these 2 turn it around and play like they have played all year before the bubble?
They're going to need to, and I'm not going to pick the Nuggets to win, even though we've been driving that bandwagon the last couple of years. I'm going to give respect to Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Doc Rivers and his staff. I believe they'll find a way to get it done, even if Montrez and Lou struggles. But that's what I love about the playoffs. You have to play different styles in order to advance. And these are 2 offensively driven players, but they're getting taken advantage of on the other end.
Jalen, can I do the media thing and take a hypothetical way too far? Okay? I don't think the Clippers are going to lose either. But let's imagine that they do, okay? They lose. They go home. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have a conversation. They say, you know what? We've only got 1 year left on our contracts. And then we have player options. And you know what? I didn't really like what happened with the supporting cast in the bubble. And Doc Rivers made some very questionable decisions as our head coach. Do you think the two of them could get together and say, you know what? Maybe we're not long for the Clippers here. Maybe they start slow next year. Maybe the two of them say, you know what? Maybe we take our talents and take them somewhere else. Could you see those be the reverberations of a loss tonight in Game 7?
Not at all. Not at all. Because they're both from Southern California, and they are where they want to be. And I think their goals are still in front of them, even if they don't get it done this year. Doc Rivers is still one of the best coaches.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. It is time for the segment where Jalen decides what we discuss. It's time for Keep It Moving.
Tang, woo, tang.
If you want to discuss a topic, say hit the brakes. If not, we all just keep it moving, and we start with the aforementioned Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Heat and the Celtics. We're going to hit the break. Jalen, what are you keying on in this huge matchup for the NBA Finals?
Jimmy Butler for the Heat, who does things outside of the box score. And on the other side, the Celtics have one of my favorite players that does that as well in Marcus Smart. But Jimmy, as he's left Chicago, Minnesota, and the Sixers, those situations have gotten worse. He's gotten better. And Jason Tatum on the other side, who's ascended into an all-NBA performer, one of the best isolation players in the game, whereas last year he was one of the worst. He improved in that area.
I knew you were going to go with the star power, so I'm going to go somewhere else, and that is a gentleman by the name of Daniel Tice. Now, Tice was not a household name, but in the bubble for this contending team, he has been an anchor on defense, just supplying some rim protection for this undersized squad, and also creating a little bit on offense, but switching on to smallers on defense. If he can stay out of foul trouble and limit Bam Adebayo, that is going to be one of the keys to the Celtics' victory. Jalen, time for us to move on. The Bucks have detailed their off-season spending plan to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
We know they got to go into the luxury tax. Keep it moving for now.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Coach Bruce Arians was a little critical of his new quarterback, Tom Brady. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
The Kango kid and Tom Brady will get it together. Keep it moving for now.
We keep it moving.
Okay.
We keep it moving.
We have some new news about Lonzo Ball. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Lonzo Ball has announced that he is joining Clutch Sports, obviously headed by Rich Paul. What sort of impact do you think that will have on his career?
It's a family affair. Big shout to Rich Paul continuing to grow his already successful client group and company. His little brother LaMelo Ball's also going to come into the league. This young man has big-time potential. I'm glad to see him making moves to feel like he's doing what he can to improve his career.
How do you think LeVar Ball feels about this move?
LeVar just like, let's do this big baller thing. Whatever it's got to take. You know, whoever's going to make this happen. That's what he focused on.
We have some interesting feelings expressed by Roy Jones in advance of his fight against Mike Tyson. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
He said he might have made a mistake by taking an exhibition fight against Mike Tyson. Jalen, are you surprised by this sentiment?
I'm pretty sure everybody that's fought Mike Tyson, regardless of his record, except Evander Holyfield, truly felt that way. Again, the term exhibition means a lot to me, which means somebody's going to stop either one of them from taking a lot of punishment and or really getting injured. So watch for body gear, watch for headgear when these two titans get into the ring for their exhibition.
I just feel like the closer they get to the actual fight, the more like real it becomes to them. And Roy Jones is just like, wait a second, 3 months ago, you know, it felt very far away in the future. But now you want me to jog, you want me to train, you want me to eat right. Eat. Yes, and you know that he's been watching these videos of Mike Tyson, because we've all been watching the videos of Mike Tyson. Run it again. Like if you're at home and you're Roy Jones and you haven't fought in a competitive boxing match in a long time and you see him snap these punches like that, and you see you see the dude wearing the vest kind of have to walk away from Mike Tyson after getting
That's suicide, man.
I'd be feeling the exact same way, because I haven't seen any videos of Roy Jones. Have you been seeing those on Instagram? Nope, I'm seeing these. No. Look at him snap these punches.
All I see is thighs and elbows. That's all I see.
Yes. I think that pretty much every single person that signed up to fight against Mike Tyson felt exactly this way as they got closer to the fight, no matter how confident they were. Well, I'll be watching it regardless. Jalen, we have some new information about a television show that was very important
to
your development.
Breaks.
Netflix has announced that they are going to have a reboot of Good Times. How do you feel about this decision?
First off, the art, Ernie Barnes, Good Times, classic painting that's featured in each episode. Also, Jimmy Walker, JJ, just think about this. He's starring on that sitcom, I Don't Know My Biological Father. People try to tease me and act like that was my father. That would be a fight immediately because it wasn't my father. And did you know, Florida, so sweet as a mom, always wore red. Did you realize that? Always wore red. Florida Evans. And James, he was the father, not just of that family, okay, of the entire hood, of the entire neighborhood. When James got mad, I even curled up, okay? And Michael, you know what I'm saying? The young intellect. He was going to be something so super spectacular. He was going to be the first Barack Obama. And I got to tell you, Rolona. Oh, man. And Penny, Janet Jackson, when she was on there. And Sweet Lynette, if I ain't got it, it must not be in that. And also, last but not least, and shout to Sweet Daddy, too. Sweets, the man. But last but not least, my first love, my first crush, Thelma. Oh, Thelma. Oh, Thelma. All natural, Jacoby. Hair,
Jalen,
skin.
We've been doing this show for 10 years, and you have never been this knowledgeable about a single topic we've ever discussed on this program in 10 years. Well, something tells me that you will be watching Good Times, and something tells me that all of you will stay tuned, because when we come back, we will tell you the biggest takeaways from week 1 in the NFL. Stay tuned. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby, and someone talk a lot about Good Times. When the week is done in the NFL, we will distill all the information down into one important takeaway. It is time for Tuesday's takeaways. Jalen, what is your one takeaway from week 1 in the NFL?
This one hurts, Jacoby, and it's personal. Big shouts, at least in fantasy, D-Hop and Andrews at tight end represented, but reality, my Detroit Lions. Jamie Collins, our big offseason acquisition. You're not playing with the Patriots anymore, fam. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. When you play with the Lions and you do things like this, you get ejected from the game. That just happens. And Swift, we drafted him this year, Jacoby. He's promising. He's a young player. Both of those guys, as you see him drop it at the goal line. And Mitchell Trubisky throws 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter to beat my hometown team. That really hurt. That was my takeaway.
On the bright side, though, you guys were in the game, leading the game in the fourth quarter. I can't remember the last time that you gave up a lead. At least you had a lead to give up, and that is an accomplishment for Detroit Lions team. Jalen, my big takeaway this Tuesday is I see the future of the NFL. Before in the NFL, if your quarterback outgained your running back on the ground, that was a serious problem. But now these 5 quarterbacks all led the team in rushing, and they all won their game. And sometimes it was by design in the case of Cam Newton. Jalen, the future of the NFL is dual threat quarterbacks. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Dan Marino's, Ben Roethlisberger's, those are all quarterbacks of the past. You will now have dual threat quarterbacks getting drafted much higher than traditional pocket passers. And I love to watch it, especially my guy, Josh Allen, because if you look at those 5 quarterbacks,